Welcome to African Today, the voice of a changing continent. We bring you the stories shaping Africa's present and future, from breaking news and bold analysis to culture, innovation, and voices on the ground. We're here to inform, inspire, and amplify the heartbeat of Africa every single day. Thank you for stopping by the channel. We hope you enjoy our video. Let's begin. In recent years, Burkina Faso has become one of the epicenters of terrorism and insurgency in West Africa, facing persistent attacks from jihadist groups affiliated with al-Qaeda and ISIS. Since taking power in a military coup in September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has made the fight against terrorism his central mission. His leadership has reshaped the security landscape in Burkina Faso with bold military strategies, a growing reliance on local defense forces, and an increasingly anti-Western political tone that has redefined the country's foreign alliances. The rise of terrorism in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso's descent into violence began around 2015 when jihadist groups, primarily Jamaat Nasr al-Islam wal Muslimin, affiliated with al-Qaeda and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara (ISGS), began operating in the country. The porous borders with Mali and Niger allowed extremist fighters to move easily, exploiting weak state presence in rural areas. Terrorist attacks escalated quickly, targeting villages, schools, places of worship, and government officials. Thousands of civilians have been killed, millions displaced, and more than half of Burkina Faso's territory has been considered outside government control at various points in time. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's military takeover. On September 30, 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré overthrew the transitional government of Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, accusing him of failing to contain the jihadist threat. Traoré, then the youngest head of state in the world at 34, promised to take a more aggressive and grassroots-oriented approach to fight terrorism. He stated clearly that the war against terrorism could not be won by conventional means alone. His plan involved a deeper mobilization of the civilian population, the arming and training of local militias, and strengthening national pride and self-reliance. He became a popular figure among youth and Pan-Africanists across Africa who saw him as a strong symbol of African resistance and sovereignty. Formation of the VDP, Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland. One of Traoré's most controversial yet defining policies was expanding the recruitment and deployment of civilian fighters known as VDPs, Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland. These local militia groups were empowered to protect their communities, collect intelligence, and support the army in counterterrorism operations. In 2023, Traoré's government announced the recruitment of over 50,000 VDPs. They received basic training, equipment, and a small monthly stipend. This strategy aimed to decentralize security efforts and bring the fight to the village level. While effective in some areas, the use of VDPs also raised human rights concerns. There have been allegations of extrajudicial killings, ethnic tensions, and revenge attacks carried out by militias. Still, Traoré defended the VDPs as necessary tools in an existential war. Military operations against terrorist strongholds. Under Traoré, Burkina Faso launched a series of intensive military operations to recapture territory from insurgent groups. In early 2024, the government launched Operation Tondean and Operation Sipu, mobilizing thousands of soldiers and VDPs to retake strategic areas in the north and east of the country. Dozens of terrorist bases were reportedly dismantled, and several high-ranking jihadist leaders were either captured or killed. The military also destroyed supply lines and weapons caches used by insurgents hiding in the forested and mountainous regions. Most recently, in mid-2025, Traoré's forces launched a major operation in the Sahel and Center-Nord regions that resulted in the deaths of over 300 militants, according to official reports. Traoré personally visited the front line in some operations, boosting morale among troops and signaling his commitment to total liberation of the country. Cutting ties with France and the West. Traoré's anti-terror campaign has also taken a geopolitical dimension. Dissatisfied with the role of France, the former colonial power, Traoré expelled French troops, suspended military agreements, and closed French media outlets like RFI and France 24. He accused Western forces of failing to eliminate terrorism and exploiting African instability for their own interests. Instead, he turned to new allies: Mali, Niger, Russia, and even Turkey. Joint military drills and defense pacts have emerged among the Sahel countries, while Russian mercenaries, allegedly Wagner-linked, have reportedly assisted in some counter-terrorism operations. This pan-African and anti-imperialist posture has earned Traoré strong support among African nationalists, but it has also led to diplomatic isolation from Western donors and human rights organizations. Civilian casualties and humanitarian crisis. Despite military successes, the war on terror has come at a heavy cost. Civilian populations in conflict zones have suffered immensely. Entire towns have been abandoned, agricultural production disrupted, and education halted in many areas. As of 2025, the UN estimates over 2 million internally displaced people in Burkina Faso. Human rights groups have documented abuses committed not just by jihadist groups, but also by government forces and allied militias. Traoré's government has been accused of operating in secrecy and restricting access to international observers and journalists. Public sentiment and nationalism. Domestically, Captain Traoré enjoys high levels of support, especially among youth, farmers, and rural communities. His image as a fearless, boots-on-the-ground leader resonates with people who feel abandoned by corrupt elites and external powers. Nationalism is at an all-time high in Burkina Faso. Traoré regularly speaks about self-determination, anti-colonial resistance, and African unity. He has proposed the creation of a new federation among Sahelian nations to resist both terrorism and foreign domination. The road ahead. As Burkina Faso moves deeper into 2025, the war against terrorism remains far from over. Though Traoré has made progress in retaking territory and degrading insurgent capabilities, the underlying causes of extremism, poverty, lack of education, weak governance, and ethnic divides remain largely unaddressed. The success of Captain Ibrahim Traoré's anti-terror campaign will ultimately depend on more than military might. It will require national reconciliation, institutional reform, regional cooperation, and sustainable development. If he can deliver on those fronts, he may not only save his country, but inspire a new era of African-led security and self-rule. Conclusion. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's war against terrorism in Burkina Faso is one of the most dramatic and consequential military campaigns in modern West African history. It reflects both the desperation and determination of a nation under siege and the rise of a new generation of African leaders rejecting neocolonial influence. Whether Traoré will be remembered as a liberator or a military strongman will depend on the outcomes of this complex and brutal conflict. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to help grow the channel. Until next time, see you soon.